Hey guys, welcome back. We're on day 14. Sunday fun day. So I'm so tired, sorry. Um, the past couple nights I've had to make these videos after my daughter goes to bed. Because I didn't have time during the day to do it, and it's just like I'm just so tired. I'd much rather be in bed right now, but I've made a commitment and to read the Bible every day and make these videos and pray. And I feel like it's really important to commit and, you know, um, develop this relationship with God um, and just really give it my all. So that's what I'm doing. Um, so before we start today's chapters, I wanted to share something that happened this evening that I found super interesting. So, my husband, his parents, and his sister and brother in law, they're all very devout, Christians. They very much believe in God. They go to church, they're very involved, read the Bible, all that stuff. And my husband, out of nowhere tonight, asked them, what do they think of dinosaurs? Do they believe in dinosaurs? And I was like, what is going on? Like, why'd you ask him that? And he's like, I want to know because you brought it up the other day. And he's like, I found that interesting and I wanted to see what they thought. And I was like, because my husband's Christian and he believes in God, but he's not like, he does not read the Bible. He doesn't go to church. He doesn't pray. He's very like, I don't, if lost maybe is the right word, maybe. Um, but I feel like he's coming back to like, wanting to do what I'm doing. So we'll see. But he's getting there. Anyways, so um, I think he was interested to see what they thought about dinosaurs, seeing as they are, very devout believers. Guys, their answers surprised me and they were all different. I was like, what? So, like, one of them was like, no, I don't believe in dinosaurs. One of them was like, I don't know. And then, like, you could tell she just genuinely has never thought about it or looked into it. And then one of them was like, I think so, but I don't know. And then another one was like, what does it matter? I was just so surprised. I was like, wow, like, it just made me really think, like, okay, well, these are devout believers in God and his word. And so, and this is how they feel about dinosaurs. Like, they literally are just like, they don't even give it a second thought. They're just like, okay, I either don't believe it or I don't care. It doesn't make no difference to me. And I found that so interesting because, you know, I do believe, I mean, at least I think, up until recently, I believed the science and archaeologists, how they said the fossils were, they've dated them through some method that they're millions of years old. But then I'm like, wait, the Bible, though, the timeline doesn't match. And then I started thinking about it and I'm like, how could you like know something is millions of years old? Like, I mean, how accurate is that? I mean, like, really? And then I've read these articles the other day that there were certain civilizations, you know, thousands of years ago, um, where they wrote or drew on cave walls and stuff pictures of what looked like dinosaurs. And the only way that they could have drawn those pictures is if they had physically seen dinosaurs themselves. And which, also doesn't match up with the timetable of them existing, millions of years ago. So I don't know. It's just a lot of like what ifs and questions. And so then I was like, I think at the end of the day, I have to decide, what do I think? What do I believe? And I think for me, it's hard for me to be like, okay, well, these archaeologists are finding actual fossils, right? I mean, I can't imagine like these archaeologists just making this up and no one on earth has been like sounded the alarm, like, oh, they're lying, these fossils aren't real, like, like these fossils have to be real, otherwise I feel like someone would have said something by now, right? I mean, oh my god, it just makes my brain hurt. And then I go to the part where I'm like, okay, well, what does it matter? But then it's like, and it's that logical part of me that starts to like hammer away at questioning things, that then makes me start to think, okay, like, who's right, who's wrong, what's this, what's that, is, God and the Bible, is that like, should I believe in it or not? And it's like, and then it starts to get me away from how I'm starting to feel about God and the Bible, which I'm actually really starting to like feel like I'm connecting and developing a connection and really feeling like I'm believing, especially when I pray. When I pray, oh my God, I just feel so like, when I'm praying quietly in my closet with no sounds, no nothing around me, it's just me and my closet and praying. I feel like undeniably like I feel that faith. I feel that belief. And then the real world like settles in and I start questioning things. I start thinking of things. I start wondering, and it's just like that logic and the science and the all this stuff, and the fact that there was like what, 4 different Christians in my house tonight and all of them had different beliefs, and well, 5 including my husband, and it was just like, I was just like, what is going on right now? It just really made my brain just explode um a little bit. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I don't know. All I can say is that I think this is just something that I have to just really, what it boils down to is, what do I want to believe and what significance does really the debate of dinosaurs have? Like my husband said the other day, like, what kind of life do you want to live? And thinking about dinosaurs and thinking about all that stuff actually gives me anxiety. It stresses me out. It makes my brain hurt. And it's not doing anything conducive or good for anyone else. I'm not helping anyone. But when I'm reading the Bible and praying and developing this relationship with God, I'm, focused on being a good person, doing good things, getting rid of the noise out of my life, getting rid of the bad things out of my life, you know, um, trying to connect with what my purpose is here in helping others. Um, and just, trying to get to a better life. Since I've been praying and reading the Bible and, developing a connection with God, it's like, I'm stopping and seeing more of what blessings I have in my life. I have a more positive mindset and outlook. My perspective is changing in a good way. I'm eating better. I'm less anxious. I'm more stable with my bipolar disorder. I'm, you know, um, drinking more water. I'm being more conscious of what I'm eating. I've been going on walks every night. um i'm I'm making better choices. And it's just like, I think what it boils down to is like, you know it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. What life do I want to live while I'm here on earth and alive? And if I have to choose, currently right now, going down this path of God and the Bible and his word, and praying is taking me in a significantly good direction. So it shouldn't be a battle of, do I believe in dinosaurs or the Bible or God? It should be a, where do I want my life to go? How do I want my life to look? How do I want to feel? And right now, going down the Bible and God route is taking me in a direction that I've never been able to get to before. And it's only done that in like 3 weeks. So, I don't know, guys, some food for thought there. Food for thought. Okay, guys, let's start with the chapters tonight because I'm tired and would like to go to bed. So, let's focus and do this.
So the chief cupbearer told his dream to Joseph. In my dream, there was a vine in front of me. On the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, its blossoms came out and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. This is its interpretation, Joseph said to him. The 3 branches are 3 days. In just 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position. You will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand the way you used to when you were his cupbearer. But when all goes well for you, remember that I was with you. Please show kindness to me by mentioning me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. For I was kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing that they should put me in the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was positive, he said to Joseph, I also had a dream. 3 baskets of white bread were on my head. In the top basket were all sorts of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head. This is its interpretation, Joseph replied. The 3 baskets are 3 days. In just 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head from off of you and hang you on a tree. Then the birds will eat the flesh from your body. On the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, he gave a feast for all his servants. He elevated the chief cupbearer and the chief baker among his servants. Pharaoh restored the chief cupbearer to his position as cupbearer, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But Pharaoh hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had explained to them. Yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. At the end of 2 years, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing beside the Nile when 7 healthy-looking, well-fed cows came up from the Nile and began to graze among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, sickly and thin, came up from the Nile and stood beside those cows along the bank of the Nile. The sickly, thin cows ate the healthy, well-fed cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep and dreamed a second time. 7 heads of grain, plump and good, came up on one stalk. After them, 7 heads of grain, thin and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 plump, full ones. Then Pharaoh woke up, and it was only a dream. When morning came, he was troubled. So he summoned all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, Today I remember my faults. Pharaoh was angry with his servants, and he put me and the chief baker in the custody of the captain of the guards. He and I had dreams on the same night. Each dream had its own meaning. Now a young Hebrew, a slave of the captain of the guards, was with us there. He told him our dreams. He interpreted our dreams for us, and each had its own interpretation. It turned out just the way he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was hanged. Then Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and they quickly brought him from the dungeon. He shaved, changed his clothes, and went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said about you that you can hear a dream and interpret it. I am not able to, Joseph answered Pharaoh. It is God who will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when 7 well-fed, healthy-looking cows came up from the Nile and grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, weak, very sickly and thin, came up. I've never seen such sickly ones as these in all the land of Egypt. Then the thin, sickly cows ate the first 7 well-fed cows. When they had devoured them, you could not tell that they had devoured them. Their appearance was as bad as it had been before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, coming up on one stalk. After them, 7 heads of grain, withered, thin, and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up. The thin heads of grain swallowed the 7 good ones. I told this to the magicians, but no one can tell me what it means. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's dreams mean the same thing. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads are 7 years. The dreams mean the same thing. The 7 thin, sickly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind are 7 years of famine. It is just as I told Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. After them, 7 years of famine will take place, and all the abundance in the land of Egypt will be forgotten. The famine will devastate the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered because of the famine that follows it, for the famine will be very severe. Since the dream was given twice to Pharaoh, it means that the matter has been determined by God, and he will carry it out soon. So now, let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this. Let him appoint overseers over the land and take 1/5 of the harvest of the land of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. Let them gather all the excess food during these good years that are coming. Under Pharaoh's authority, store the grain in the cities so they may preserve it as food. The food will be a reserve for the land during the 7 years of famine that will take place in the land of Egypt. Then the country will not be wiped out by the famine. The proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants, and he said to them, Can we find anyone like this, a man who has God's Spirit in him? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one as discerning and wise as you are. You will be over my house, and all my people will obey your commands. Only I, as king, will be greater than you. Pharaoh also said to Joseph, See, I am placing you over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, clothed him with fine linen garments, and placed a gold chain around his neck. He had Joseph ride in his 2nd chariot, and servants called out before him, Make way! So he placed him over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and no one will be able to raise his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt without your permission. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zephanath-Paneah, and gave him a wife, Asenath, daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh king of Egypt. Joseph left Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout the land of Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced outstanding harvests. Joseph gathered all the excess food in the land of Egypt during the 7 years and put it in the cities. He put the food in every city from the fields around it. So Joseph stored up grain in such abundance, like the sand of the sea, that he stopped measuring it because it was beyond measure. 2 sons were born to Joseph before the years of famine arrived. Asenath, daughter of Potipharah, priest at On, bore them to him. Joseph named the firstborn Manasseh, and said, God has made me forget all my hardship and my whole family. And the second son he named Ephraim, and said, God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. Then the 7 years of abundance in the land of Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in every land, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When the whole land of Egypt was stricken with famine, the people cried out to Pharaoh for food. Pharaoh told all Egypt, Go to Joseph and do whatever he tells you. Now the famine had spread across the whole region, so Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe in the land of Egypt. Every land came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, for the famine was severe in every land. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, Why do you keep looking at each other? Listen, he went on, I have heard there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we will live and not die. So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he thought something might happen to him. The sons of Israel were among those who came to buy grain, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Joseph was in charge of the country. He sold grain to all its people. His brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He asked. From the land of Canaan to buy food, they replied. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Joseph remembered his dreams about them and said to them, You are spies. You have come to see the weakness of the land. No, my lord, your servants have come to buy food, they said. We are all sons of one man. We are honest, your servants are not spies. No, he said to them, you have come to see the weakness of the land. But they replied, We, your servants, were 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no longer living. Then Joseph said to them, I have spoken. You are spies. This is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one from among you to get your brother. The rest of you will be imprisoned so that your words can be tested to see if they are true. If they are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies. So Joseph imprisoned them together for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, I fear God. Do this and you will live. If you are honest, let one of you be confined to the guardhouse, while the rest of you go and take grain to relieve the hunger of your households. Bring your youngest brother to me so that your words can be confirmed. Then you won't die. And they consented to this. Then they said to each other, Obviously, we are being punished for what we did to our brother. We saw his deep distress when he pleaded with us, but we would not listen. That is why this trouble has come to us. But Reuben replied, Didn't I tell you not to harm the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must account for his blood. They did not realize that Joseph understood them, since there was an interpreter between them. He turned away from them and wept. When he turned back and spoke to them, he took Simeon from them and had him bound before their eyes. Joseph then gave orders to fill their containers with grain, return each man silver to his sack, and give them provisions for their journey. This order was carried out. They loaded the grain on their donkeys and left there. At the place where they lodged for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his silver there at the top of his bag. He said to his brothers, My silver has been returned. It's here in my bag. Their hearts sank. Trembling, they turned to one another and said, What has God done to us?
Aw. Okay, guys, we're all done here. Tomorrow is day 15. I think we only have like 3 more days, I think, of Genesis, and then we move on to, I think I saw it said Exodus, I believe. I don't know. Um, but those were some nice chapters. They were easy to understand, and I followed along the whole time, which is nice. um, I mean, I guess the only thought I had was like, why would God want them to go through 7 years of a famine? But, one thing I have been learning since I've started this venture of, letting God into my life and reading the Bible and watching videos and praying and stuff, um, is there are some things that we're just not meant to know as humans. Um, and that's that. And you just have to come to peace with that. And to be honest, there's something cathartic about like letting go, you know? Um, I used to do ultrasound um, on pregnant women. That used to be my career. I left that a few years ago, but um, and I remember, over the years, I learned so much and I met so many women. And I noticed that the women that didn't know anything about the pregnancy or how things worked or what could go wrong or this or that, they enjoyed their pregnancies in this ignorant bliss. And you could tell they just it was fun, and they just were excited and saw all the great things, wanted to know the gender, get cute pictures, were excited for the baby. And then the people that had a lot of knowledge and actually asked questions were stressed, and you could tell that they were like worried about certain things and stressed and anxious and just didn't really get to like enjoy the pregnancy as much. And I always thought, oh my gosh, this is definitely where ignorance is bliss, you know? And I feel like sometimes I need to follow that, and I need to just have faith that, you know, um, God is doing things for a reason, and I don't always, as a human, need to know that reason. And I just have to let go and just trust and have faith. And there's something very peaceful about that. And I think that I need to work on that a little bit more. So, you know, work on not being intentionally ignorant, of course, but you know what I mean? Like, just try and maybe not look into things so deeply that really don't, you know, have any effect on my day to day. I mean, like, really, like dinosaurs. Whatever the truth is about them, I mean, has no effect on my day to day. Does dinosaurs pay my bills? Does knowing the truth about dinosaurs pay my bills? No. So, I don't know, guys. Just some thoughts. But um, tomorrow we are doing day 15. It's Monday, and I have a big week ahead. So I will try to get these videos done during my daughter's first naps so that I can get the videos uploaded sooner than late at night like I've been doing the past couple nights, but no guarantees, guys. I fit these in where I can. And so sometimes it has to be after my daughter goes to bed. So, all right, guys. I hope everyone has a really great week, and um, pray every day. It feels good. All right, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.